Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Maverick here with episode 4 of Listeners. So, my apologies first, this episode is little bit late because I actually had some tech issues with my first recording of it. I actually recorded this already before, but as it turns out, my mic had a problem. The cordage, I believe, was fried, and so I did not have any sound going through it at all. So, unfortunately, my original video is unsalvageable since there was no audio being recorded. So I've had to re-record this video, and that means that this is not going to be a completely blind watch for this particular episode. But hopefully it'll still be entertaining for you guys. The episode itself is certainly entertaining, so not to mention it's not exactly going for the a very deep and full story and all that, which you guys will probably get what I mean by the episode and by what I'm going to say in my review section. So hopefully it'll still turn out okay. But anyways, in the end of last episode, we learned a little bit more about Mew, you know, her fate, her namesake. Well, I guess you can't really say her namesake, but this mysterious Jimmy Stonefree dude who is sort of kind of related with Mew, and now they need to solve this mystery and basically travel around the world, meet different players, and gain all the clues that they can get in regards to this Jimmy character, right? And I expect Jimmy will show up near the end of this series, where they will solve everything out. But in the meantime, we are going to different places, and that's what, you know, that's presumably what this episode, and probably at least 4 or 5 episodes on, we're going to be doing. So, let's jump right into it. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. And I gotta say, the series is doing really bad on my anime list, you know, all the rating sites. But it's so fun, though. It's really fun. By the way, when I was originally watching this, I already, you know, looking at this scene, I can immediately tell this is set in the United States of America. You know, you got these lockers and all that. This is obviously an American school. You know, dealing with teen problems and all that. Makes a lot of sense when you consider that the title of this episode is Teen Spirit, which we'll see in just a second. But yeah, I am loving this series actually, even though the story is really not all that great. I mean, it's serviceable, but I definitely feel like they are being a little bit lazy with the story. They could easily use the same concepts, but turn it make it more fleshed out, make it more logical and whatnot. I mean, it's obviously not trying to be serious too much. It's more of an over the top kind of anime. But even so, there can be some obvious improvements done to it. And I mean, the music of this series is definitely the strong point, right? The opening is a banger, the ending changes every single episode, at least up to now, and even the background music during the episode itself is fantastic. So, yeah, I'm loving it. I still think the mechs look a little bit ridiculous, though. Like having those big uh, speakers at the back, right? Like Teen Spirit, right? Now, obviously, when you think about Teen Spirit, the first thing that comes to your mind should be "Smells Like Teen Spirit" by Nirvana. Of course, we see the yellow school bus as well. Another direct tell that this is an American school. I didn't I didn't really quite understand, even on rewatching, like what Mew was getting flustered over there.
のプレイヤージミストーンフリーについて調べること。プレイヤーメーカーに載ってなかったとはいえ、ジミーは伝説のプレイヤー。ここになら何か記録が残ってるかもしれないだろ。それにこの力の正体を解き明かせるかもしれないから。
Looking in the shadows.
そしてあなたがミュウね。ごめんなさいね。私はキム。この学校で学園長を務めているの。
Look at all the vandalism. I assume that's vandalism. They're not actually looking like that, right?
まあまあ落ち着いて。でももう安心。ビリンちゃんから聞いてるわ。あなたたちプレイヤーなんでしょ。それもかなりの腕前の。昨日連絡をもらったの。ミュウってプレイヤーの子がうちを訪ねてくるかもって。伝説のプレイヤージミストーンフリーのことを調べる。
Top secret.
ごめんなさいね。生徒たちの在籍記録をそう簡単に。
Yeah, Mew, you gotta work for it. Let me tell you guys, when I saw this, I was completely laughing my head off, right? I mean, Teen Spirit in a spray can smells like Teen Spirit. Oh man, I was immediately like, they are going the complete corny and cheesy route with this, and I absolutely love it. You know, I was only suspicious of whether or not it was referring to Smells Like Teen Spirit with the title, but seeing a spray can, 100% it has to be a reference to the song. Should fit right in with this kind of school environment. Already getting hit on. And Mew enjoys the attention. You know, knowing that his name is Hull, you gotta kind of wonder if it's shortened from asshole. Right. If you breathe it in, say, can you? There's so many jokes that can go with this. And by the way, the instant that this dude showed up, I was like, okay, this guy is probably the mastermind behind all this. Well, it seemed quite obvious that this guy's kind of shady. I mean, this girl was whatever, right? But that dude definitely seemed shady. I also knew he was in the garbage can. Super obvious. Near. I seriously thought something bad was gonna happen to her at this scene. They certainly. With that weird accent that the dude has. Yeah, they're speaking in some weird Japanese style act. You would think they're frat boys or something, but no, no, they're just fans of mathematics. Oh my god. How can you hate on something like this? It's absolutely nonsensical, but funny, right? Ah. And of course, we gotta have the cliche, even in an American school, we gotta have the cliche student outcast is most at ease on the roof kind of trope. By the way, I also thought it was pretty obvious that Nier was actually a girl, even though she likes to use boku, which is more of a male sort of suffix. But I mean, her voice is very obviously a girl's, and the way she dresses and all that. Trying to lay the moves on. I'm guessing this is how they play football. Like how they can also have an archaeological club. And also, if you guys pay attention to the background music right now, it's the background music is an obvious play of the riff of "Smells Like Teen Spirit," the sort of grungy sound that Nirvana has. So not only the sound, but the riff itself is also very similar to "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I also found it interesting that they referenced a place named Londonium, right? So Liverchester is already an obvious English reference. Now they are in more like an American school, but then Londonium goes back to England as well. Uh, Now this kind of surprised me. So it seems that the mechs that come out is actually decided by the player, and they can use all kinds of different equipment to do it. Whoosha! Don't really know what she's trying to do, but right. So one thing that I couldn't quite get was whether or not she was actually trying to commit suicide in this scene. Didn't really catch this. Like I said, the story is kind of nonsensical. Although I did like how, Smells Like Teen Spirit as a song, it deals with teen angst, right? Being edgy and all that. Uh, and here we can obviously have a teen in angst, right? I like how also, she's just here. Like, she destroyed half the school, no problem, nobody cares, she's still at large. Ta-da! And making it into some sort of drug, basically. Also, kind of relevant, right? How teens are easily influenced. Brah. Dude, you would have gotten killed if you didn't do something. what I don't get is uh, how come Echo doesn't think about maybe trying to unplug Nier instead? See, this, like I said, the story here doesn't really make much sense at all. And of course, they have to be having this conversation completely within earshot of Nier, right? So, she's my friend! And of course, no actual death as well. バイバイ Don't know where the hell she's going, but somewhere else anyways. I like how it's how it's like a squid or an octopus moving as well. Purple Kingdom. Of course not. uh, and like I said, every single ending, they got some more artwork of the events that happened within the episode, and a completely new song as well. Like, oh man, it's just extravagant for an anime like this, and I love it. Although the songs, I was actually expecting this one since being so obviously Nirvana inspired, Teen Spirit inspired. I was expecting them to use more of a grunge kind of song. But this is more like a normal Japanese female band J-rock, light J-rock, I guess you could say. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I just thought they would try to do something related with the with what happened or the topic of the episode. Right, and then of course they're going to search for some other guys. But that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys later. Alrighty, so that was episode 4. Quite the episode, right? And I'm just gonna be quite frank and honest and say it out right now. The story itself is quite nonsensical. I can totally see why a lot of people are rating it very low on rating sites and whatnot, because it's really not that good of a story. The pacing is all over the place. The flow is very unnatural. The dialogue is very unnatural. Like, it's not even a case where the topic of it is not good or anything. They could have easily made this into a very proper kind of story. I mean, the central elements were all there. Like I said, this episode is a clear reference with the title Teen Spirit to the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana, and everything about that song is talking about basically teen angst, right? Sort of a rebellious youth and whatnot. And so you can easily sort of correlate that with how Nier was. So being very angsty as well, being an orphan, no parents and no friends and whatnot, and really spiraling into this state of self-loathing, self-hatred, wanting to destroy the world and whatnot, using drugs. There's obvious drug references to the spray, to Teen Spirit here. A lot of this kind of stuff. They could have easily. What I mean here is that Nier's actions don't necessarily need to make much sense, right? It's just a phase, right? It's a phase during your teens that you go through, and so on and so forth. But the thing is, though, that I feel like they really... The dialogue and the way that they describe things is really just so unnatural, right? It's like very forced, and it just thinks, to me, it means that they didn't really put much thinking process into the story itself. Like, there's a lot of things that don't really make sense. For instance, why did Nier single out Echo and try to become his friend, right? And then also, for instance, the ending scene. That's probably the most cringy part, where Ho was, basically saying his plans out loud and whatnot, and all that. How is he able to control Nier so easily in the first place? Like I said, all of this can be explained actually because of the circumstances of this topic, but the anime is not doing a very good job of conveying that information properly. So it just looks like it's jumping back and forth through lots of miscellaneous things that doesn't really come together to make a coherent story point in the end. So that is definitely a big negative about this that I can say so far. Well, I mean, it's just there's no better way to put it. The story is just quite nonsensical and unnatural. With that being said, however, I still gotta say this is one of my very enjoyable animes of the season. It's just so much fun, right? It's not taking itself seriously at all. It's being completely over the top with the sort of things that it's using. Sure, some of the gags are reused, such as Echo not really realizing that Nier was a girl, even though it was obvious. But some, really came out of nowhere, such as, like, who would have thought that one of the ways the problems would be resolved would be to get Echo to pull down Hole's pants, right? Like, that is just, like, it's just so out there. And then that entire, the scene with the, what was it, the math fan club or whatnot, or the math, study group. Oh, and, it's just completely out there, completely wacko. And I really loved how they made such obvious corny and cheesy references to Smells Like Teen Spirit with the topic of this episode. With Teen Spirit being in a spray bottle and all that. But on this point though, I will say I was very disappointed that they never actually put in a line of dialogue that went "Smells Like Teen Spirit," right? I mean, come on, it was right for the taking. You got something that's sprayable, that's called Teen Spirit, that you inhale. You just make it simply smell in a sort of way for it to have a distinct smell. And how hard is it to have a scene where maybe a Mew or Echo walks into a room or whatnot and say, smells like Teen Spirit in here, right? They could, that is such an obvious missed reference that they could have done. I was waiting the entire episode for that name drop right then and there, but I guess it was not to be. But I am so disappointed that they didn't go with that. But it's just that, the entire fact, the instant that they had this sort of spray bottle Teen Spirit out, I was laughing my head off in the first episode and in this episode. I mean, in my first watching and in this watching as well. Like, it's just so hilarious to me to have this kind of stuff. You could say it's sort of crass and lowbrow humor, but I really enjoy it. And not to mention, even with all that, that is already a big plus for me, right? The story itself, even though it's nonsensical, it's entertaining, and I feel like for me that's even more important. So I criticize a lot of anime, and for the works that are taking themselves seriously, if their story points has characters doing illogical things, doesn't really have a good flow and whatnot, I call them out for it, just as I called out the listeners as well. However, in listeners, it's much more forgivable because it's meant, they don't really care that much about the story, basically, as can obviously be seen by what is shown in the episodes. They're just trying to have fun, and I think we should judge it on that criteria. And not to mention, even disregarding the fact that it's fun, the music is fantastic, right? Like I was saying, I really enjoyed the opening, I really enjoyed the background music throughout, and having an anime that changes its ending theme every single episode, like a new song, having the voice actresses sing it, having a seiyuu sing it. I mean, it's the voice actress of Mew, Takashi Rei, I believe, singing all these songs, having new songs. Sure, in this ending, I was kind of disappointed that they didn't go with a more grunge kind of feel, but still, it's still a new song, and the artwork is fantastic as well during the ending part. In fact, I would even say I prefer the ending artwork more than how they actually animate the characters, but it is what it is, right? So I gotta say, it's like I said, it feels kind of extravagant for a series of this kind of quality to have this kind of quality of music, actually. So it's but hey, I mean, I'm absolutely loving it. It is a music anime after all, and one of my big judging criteria for music anime is how many songs it actually has, and in this one it's definitely checking off that point. And not to mention the also very obvious Smells Like Teen Spirit inspired riffs in the middle of the episode as well, like making this obvious sort of connection here. It actually makes me wonder whether or not they did the same thing for the background music in episodes 1 and 2 when they were referring to other songs as well, but those songs I wasn't quite as knowledgeable in, so maybe not, but still, definitely putting a lot of effort into the music here. I do wish that they could have put a little bit more effort into the story as well. Like I said, they could easily have the same sort of over-the-top, outlandish kind of feel to it and still make it into a somewhat coherent story, but well, I guess that's just not where their focus is at. But anyways, like I said, I really enjoyed this series, actually. It's, even though lots of people are thinking that it's shit and all that, but to me, it's it's entertaining fun. And hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well, which I presume you will be, considering that you've watched this video up to episode 4 now. So, that's that for today. My apologies again that I couldn't really have a blind reaction to this throughout because of tech problems. Hopefully it's not going to happen again. But I am enjoying this. I'm having a blast. A huge blast watching it, and I hope you guys are as well. So far, I don't have any news of it announcing any delays due to COVID-19, and hopefully that is going to keep up. So I will see you guys next week as well. Stay tuned, stay safe, and bye bye.